Hi, thank you for joining us. I'm Rachel Senes, and this is Inside Santa Barbara, the news magazine that takes you inside the city's most important projects, issues, and events. Today we will give you a sneak peek inside the 22nd Santa Barbara International Film Festival. This event brings to town over 60,000 people, among them film lovers, filmmakers, and celebrities. Well, besides the film festival, visitors to Santa Barbara enjoy its beautiful beaches, picturesque scenery, and a bustling downtown. Santa Barbara is a great place to live, work, and play. But although there may be a vibrant economy, as we show you in our top story from many people who work and play here in Santa Barbara, living here is a different story. Whether it's an apartment, a condo, or a house, our homes are important to us. No matter if you are paying a mortgage or renting, it is hard to imagine being without a roof over our heads. Such a thought once burdened a group of tenants at 1620 Garden Street, when a condo project there may have resulted in tenant displacement. That project was not covered by the city's condominium conversion ordinance, because the existing rental units were to be demolished and replaced with new condos, rather than being converted. The issue of tenant displacement was also raised during the appeal hearing of 85 North La Cumbre Road.
There were a number of families at 85 North La Cumbre that were being forced out by a condo conversion there. These were everything from landscapists to teachers to every walks of life that you could think of. They were having real difficulty also finding other places that were even close to the rent that they were getting there.
So the city realized the importance of assisting tenants, and enthusiastic city council unanimously approved the Tenant Displacement Assistance Ordinance.
It will apply to any time an application is filed into the city that results in the demolition of a unit, the merger of a unit, if you take 2 or 3 units and reduce the number of units, and any time that you take a rental unit and convert it to a commercial use, any tenant that is displaced, to facilitate that application, will be entitled to a number of provisions.
Included in those provisions is notice of intent. Property owners must file an application to the city for approval of a land use change or improvement to property that would result in the tenants being displaced. They are required to provide tenants notice of their intent to file at least 60 days prior to filing that application. Another provision deals with lease termination. Residents are granted the right to terminate their existing leases without being held liable for future rent if they receive a notice of intent to file an application. One of the more beneficial provisions under the ordinance is a relocation fee. Property owners are required to pay monetary assistance in an amount equal to 3 times the median advertised rental rate, or $4,000, whichever is greater. Eligible special needs tenants will receive the greater of 4 times the rental rate, or $5,350. This ordinance is meant to mitigate the social and economic impacts experienced by displaced tenants. It has received a welcoming response.
I think there's been enthusiasm on the part of advocates for our working class. There's been remarkable acceptance by landlords, which I think speaks to the fact that even people who generally profit by the ability to convert condos understand that there's a societal problem there.
Approximately 58% of our housing stock is actually rental housing. Even a lot of our single-family homes that in other communities may predominantly owner-occupied, they're rentals here. So having these kinds of ordinances in place to assist when they're removed from the market are very important.
Despite positive reaction to the ordinance, some argue we need to look beyond the issue of displacement to other issues like the availability of affordable housing. The city's housing costs are among the highest in the nation, and vacancy rates are among the lowest.
I'm glad that the city passed the Tenant Displacement Assistance Ordinance. It is a first step, and Band-Aids are useful, but we should recognize that it is a Band-Aid, and what we have is a cancer or a gaping wound.
Unfortunately, this is a job that is only partway done. because most people, even if they're the first person to be given the opportunity to buy that unit, cannot buy those units.
Affordable housing in Santa Barbara constitutes 12% of the city's housing stock. High housing costs result in many problems. There is a great gap between incomes and housing costs, and many people must commute long distances from less expensive housing in other areas, like Ventura or Santa Maria.
We have 25,000 trips a day into the South Coast. We are exporting our housing problem. People who work here, who want to be part of this community, are in effect not allowed to live here. Nobody's passing a law against it, but the economics makes it so.
Santa Barbara has so much to offer, a beautiful environment bordered by mountains and seashores with temperate climate and a unique ambiance. Living in Santa Barbara, however, comes at a high price.
People who work in a community ought to live in a community and have their allegiance to that community. If you give people a split allegiance where they live one place and work another, they're likely not to contribute very much to either community.
Although the ordinance may only mitigate the social and economic consequences of tenants who are displaced, many agree that the ordinance leads the way to more affordable housing dialogue. For more information on the Tenant Displacement Assistance Ordinance, go to our website at citytv18.com. Well, the film festival has become one of the city's most popular events. This year it runs from January 25th through February 4th. Included in over 200 feature films, the festival will show 22 world premieres, 18 U.S. premieres, and introduce films from 40 countries. We'll tell you more about the film festival in just a few minutes, but first, let's go underneath city streets to a complex system hundreds of miles long, a system that serves a significant purpose to people as well as the environment each and every day. Every day we do things we may not think much about, like flushing the toilet or running water in the sink or shower. The reason we may not think much about these things is because we don't have to. Typically, our wastewater leaves our bathrooms, appliances, and sinks and makes its way to the Elistero treatment plant via a complex web of pipes, all without incident. The only time we may think about the sewer system is when we encounter a problem, usually due to clogged or broken pipes, our own or possibly our neighbors. The sewer system serving Santa Barbara is made up of interconnected pipes that are publicly and privately owned. The city owns 263 miles of sewer mains, while there are about 350 miles of privately owned sewer laterals, pipes which are located on private property but extend onto the public right-of-way. Since public and private laterals are interconnected in the sewer system, problems on private property can cause problems in the public system.
The first problem is for the homeowner. The line backs up into their home and can overflow, causing damage on their property. The problem for the city is that roots which grow into the lines grow on down the lines and into our city lines, and they cause blockages of our slightly larger city lines, which then can overflow into the street and cause contamination of the creeks and the ocean.
80% of city-owned sewer mains are about 8 inches in diameter. Privately owned sewer laterals are smaller, about 4 to 6 inches.
The small size means that the lines can be easily blocked either by roots growing in or that there really isn't a lot of capacity or space in those lines for excess water.
By using closed-circuit television cameras, wastewater crews can locate problems inside sewer laterals. This is what a poorly maintained sewer lateral looks like. Roots often grow into these laterals, and when those roots are removed by a plumber, they are sometimes released into city-owned pipes where they can cause a blockage or sewer spill. In addition, city crews perform a process called smoke testing to determine illegal sewer connections.
We force a non-toxic smoke into the lines. The smoke should come out through roof vents, but if we see it coming either through the soil or coming out of roof drains, we know then that there is a connection, cross-connection or a broken line that needs to be repaired.
Broken or cracked pipes, missing clean-out caps, and illegal connections of outdoor drains to sewer systems all allow rainwater into the system. Since the system is designed to carry only wastewater generated inside homes, the system can be overwhelmed during wet weather. Studies done by other cities estimate that up to 80% of rainwater entering wastewater collection systems comes from illegal connections and damaged laterals on private property. Each year, the city spends approximately $4 million inspecting and maintaining the publicly owned portion of the sewer system.
Actually, it goes back about 4.5 years or so. There was an allegation, a concern by channel keepers and Heal the Ocean that maybe our sewer pipes were contributing to the bacteria found in the oceans and the creeks.
Just as the city maintains public sewer mains, it is the responsibility of property owners to keep their private laterals in good working order. Without this cooperation, maintenance of the sewer system is limited.
There are two really good reasons for property owners to care about this. The first is the public impacts of overflowing sewage, which causes public health and environmental impacts and makes our creek water quality and our ocean water quality decline. But at least as importantly is the people most impacted by a poorly operating lateral is the property owner. The first thing to fail is usually that property owner's sewer system, which means that their toilets won't flush or their drains won't drain. So they're directly affected by the non-functioning of their line.
In September of 2006, the city introduced the Sewer Lateral Inspection Program. The ordinance requires property owners to have their laterals inspected by a licensed plumber in these situations. At times when property owners are doing substantial work, specifically 400 square feet or more of a new addition, or if 2 or more plumbing fixtures are added, if a spill from a lateral occurs, if a lateral fails a smoke test, if a problem is located while city lines are being inspected, whenever there is cause to believe that the lateral needs repair, and on a 10-year cycle for commercial properties and condos. Exceptions to inspection requirements include when a lateral has been installed in the past 20 years, or when an inspection has been conducted in the past 3 years and the lateral was found in good condition. In order to encourage property owners to participate in the Sewer Lateral Inspection Program, the city is meeting them halfway through 2 incentives. If the lateral is in good repair, the incentive program will provide owners a $150 rebate to offset the cost of inspection, which averages around $200. There is also a lateral replacement rebate, which covers half the cost up to $2,000 per lateral.
Well, I hope to see people taking advantage of the incentive program and the rebate program. There is an opportunity to get half your money back on a fix if you need to do that. So I hope to see active improvement in the creeks and the oceans.
In addition to protecting our creeks and ocean, the Sewer Lateral Inspection Program benefits property owners by reducing the amount of plumbing issues on their property. And with these substantial incentives, property owners shouldn't let this opportunity go down the drain. For more information on the Sewer Lateral Ordinance, call the collection system staff at 568-1010. Well, one of the most popular events at the festival is its annual tributes. This year, awards will be given to Will Smith, Helen Mirren, Forrest Whitaker, and Al Gore. Well, one of the ways that people will be arriving to the film festival is through our historic train station. Over 200,000 people a year use the depot to travel on the country's second busiest passenger rail corridor. 2006 marked a century of service to our community, but as you'll see in our next segment, there is more than its centennial to celebrate.
In the beginning of the 20th century, Santa Barbara was establishing itself as a popular health resort destination for wealthy Easterners and Midwesterners looking to escape frigid winters. Southern Pacific Railroad tracks had reached Santa Barbara from Los Angeles in 1887, but it wasn't until those tracks were linked to San Francisco in 1901 that tourism really took off. To cater to this new influx, the 600-room Potter Hotel was built near the tracks in 1903. Seeing an opportunity, the railroad responded in kind in 1906.
They decided that they would locate the new train depot down next to the Potter to make it a lot easier for those people to come right off the train and walk through a lovely garden to the Potter Hotel.
Southern Pacific also moved tracks closer to the Potter and created 2 rail spurs so wealthy visitors could park their private train cars while they stayed at the hotel. Noted local architect Francis W. Wilson designed the depot. Its mission revival style was fairly unique in Santa Barbara.
Southern Pacific wanted people to come to California, and they wanted to give them an image of California that they might not have if they were from the East Coast or the Midwest. And so they chose the Missions, because the Missions at that time were mostly in disrepair, but they made such romantic ruins. And so Southern Pacific thought this was a great way to introduce people to California.
Southern Pacific continued to run passenger service until 1971, when Amtrak took over. After decades of neglect and a failed plan to develop the site by a private party, the city's redevelopment agency bought the depot property in 1995. In 1999, the city conducted an $8.4 million historically accurate restoration of the depot and surrounding property. This past month, dignitaries gathered to celebrate not only 100 years of service to our community, but the depot's inclusion on the National Register of Historic Places.
It's really important because I always think of being able to, if you go into a town, you're able to read the town by looking at the buildings. And so the more you preserve buildings of these different periods, our Victorian ones, our Mission Revival, our Spanish Colonial Revival, people begin to get a sense of a timeline for the city, and which you don't have if you don't have buildings of all these different periods.
Some cities will try to bulldoze a building and then try to build it back and look something like it used to be. We didn't do that. We actually did a preservation project here, and we really respect the history, and at the same time we're using it. So as you use the building, you can see that your grandparents could have been here, or your great-grandparents even.
City officials hope the train depot will see even more travelers in the future, as South Coast communities are currently exploring commuter rail service between Oxnard, Ventura, and Santa Barbara as an alternative to the 101 freeway. Well, opening night of this year's festival will feature the film Factory Girl, starring Sienna Miller, Guy Pearce, and Hayden Christensen. Factory Girl is based on the life of Edie Sedgwick, who coincidentally was born and died in Santa Barbara. Well, the terms are now commonplace, green and sustainable. Yet what does it all mean to you and your daily life? Well, whether you know it or not, the city of Santa Barbara is undertaking a major program to increase its efforts to go green.
Since the oil spill off our coast in 1969, the city of Santa Barbara has built a solid reputation for its respect and value of the environment. From land use policies to increased recycling to creek restoration, the city has made it a goal to live within our resources. Yet in the face of an ever-growing body of evidence linking human actions to global warming, city leaders have realized that more has to be done to make this a truly sustainable community.
The time to act was actually yesterday, so we better act now. Other communities are ahead of us. We're not only going to catch up, we're going to pass them, regardless of what the rest of the world does.
In the summer of 2005, the City Administrator's Office formed a green team to produce a report that would serve as the foundation for the city's new Sustainable Santa Barbara program.
So this means that all employees working over the counter, driving by on the street, fixing potholes, helping people in the community, we're expecting all employees to take a role in protecting the environment.
As a starting point, the Green Team began compiling an inventory of the city's current activities and policies related to conservation and environmental protection.
How much electricity does this building use over the last 3 years? And every building that the city owns. And then once we have that baseline information, let's see if we can begin to reduce the consumption of electrical and water and natural gas.
Also as a part of the inventory, the city is conducting a study of greenhouse gas emissions from city facilities and vehicles. It is one of the first cities in the nation to do so.
This is a key step for us to take in terms of seeing how the city contributes towards global warming and what steps we can take to combat that.
Armed with the information from the inventory, the Green Team developed a first-year action plan to ratchet up the city's efforts. The plan includes holding training sessions for all city employees, working with departments to incorporate environmentally friendly practices in operations, holding workshops with boards and commissions to brainstorm ideas on how they can incorporate sustainability in their decisions. The city also intends to have certain employees trained in the U.S. Green Building Council's Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, or LEED, Green Building Rating System.
Making sure more of our engineers and plan checkers, those employees in key positions have those skills so they can review projects. They also serve in an advisory capacity to the rest of the organization as they are looking to move projects through the system.
As part of the Sustainable Santa Barbara program, each employee is encouraged to incorporate 5 green practices in their work. They include reduce energy consumption and CO2 emissions, increase employee enrollment in the telecommuting and flexible work schedules, purchase sustainable products for operations and facilities, increase recycling and reduce waste generation, reduce potable water usage.
The steps that we can take to become more sustainable, they're a lot more easy than many of us would like to think. Sometimes it doesn't cost anything, and it's just one extra thought that we can give in how we go about our everyday work.
And while the city is acting to reduce its ecological footprint, it hopes that the public will take notice and follow in its footsteps.
Whether that's paying your bill online instead of sending in a paper copy with your bill, maybe it's watching the fire truck respond to a call for service, and this fire truck is powered by biodiesel. There are a number of ways that we're showing the community and teaching everyone how easy it is to be more sustainable.
We really honestly have to start providing for the future generations. I mean, what kind of a mess am I handing to my children and my grandchildren if I hand them this program that we have now going on? We need to hand them a program in place that recognizes that things can't keep growing and getting bigger and bigger and consumption larger and larger. We have to live within some limits. That's what sustainability is all about.
For more information about the Sustainable Santa Barbara program and what you can do to be green, go to sustainablesb.org. Well, this year, the Film Festival begins a new tradition by inviting a guest director who will show a retrospective of their work. Director Michael Apted has been selected. He is known for his award-winning films like Agatha, Coal Miner's Daughter, Gorilla in the Mist, and Nell. Well, the new year is here, and many of us have resolutions and are looking for ways to improve ourselves. In our Cooking with Christy segment, Christy's Wiki shows us how we can ring in a healthy new year.
Every new year, most of us make a resolution to be healthier, to exercise more, and to eat the right foods. Keeping with my new goal of eating organic, I decided to visit one of my favorite restaurants, the Sojourner Cafe. For 28 years, locals have flocked to this landmark eatery for its fresh and wholesome food.
We really look to source local products. We have relationships with the farmers. We try hard to get organics, and as a whole family, all the staff is pretty healthy too, and into mind and body health. And so it's not just the food; it's the whole environment.
Chef Edie Robertson made me a nutritious meal, starting with a seasonal vegetable stew that packs a healthful wallop all in one pot.
We start with a little olive oil. Get that nice and hot. And what you want to do is get your onions caramelized or just slightly translucent. Start a little fresh ginger, it gives it a little heat. Obviously fresh garlic goes in everything I do. And then got our potatoes. We got our organic yams. Here I got some curry, turmeric for color, a little cumin. And as you can tell, this is going to be an Indian influence stew. Very healthy for you. As I say, you can use anything that's in season in there. Let's go ahead and do some zucchini, eggplant, and we got some vegetable stock. And what we'll do is just top all the vegetables with the vegetable stock. And I'll let that simmer until all the vegetables are soft. And we'll throw in some fresh diced tomatoes, some chickpeas, finish it off with fresh cilantro for color. Here at the restaurant, we serve it over rice with yogurt and chutney. And there you have your stew. Round 2, desserts. This is what the ingredients are. I'm going to make a cranberry peach crisp, and it's going to be vegan. 2 cups of cranberries, 2 cups of peaches, And I've got vegan sugar. This cooks for about 15-20 minutes. And basically, flour, oats, we got some sliced almonds, vegan sugar, just a little bit of that, some fruit sweetener, and we have some non-GMO margarine, Earth Balance, very good stuff. And basically, take your fingers, mix it all around, put this mixture, pop it like this, and you can use apples, blueberries, cherries. There you have it. Pop that in the oven for about 15 minutes. You have a great dessert.
With so many great restaurants in town, it's really easy to eat healthy in Santa Barbara. Here at the Sojourner Cafe, we just saw Chef Edie prepare one of her delicious and famous vegetable stews. And you know what? When you're on a diet, you don't have to give up dessert. In my book, this crisp counts as a fruit serving. Yummy. Wash it down with some organic wine, and you just had a meal that's better for your body and better for the environment. On Victoria Street lies another restaurant that is the first in Santa Barbara to receive a Green Award for its environmental commitment. Spiritland Bistro offers a fine dining experience featuring organic global cuisine.
It was just the perfect idea to pair the whole idea of cultural cuisine and then choose a culture each week, focus on the foods, focus on their spices, all the ingredients indicative of the culture, and just really bring that forth with organic ingredients and just the best flavors and creative presentations.
Chef Joel Cook made us one of his signature entree salads. You can't get any healthier than this.
Today we're going to be making raw almond pate, and raw foods are foods that have not been processed, they have not been cooked over 108 degrees, and they have all of the natural living enzymes, which gives you the maximum nutritional benefits from all fruits and vegetables. So the almond pate that we're actually going to be making is made from soaked nuts, carrots, dulse flakes, kelp powder, nutritional yeast, some soy sauce. So starting with the carrots, so place the carrots through. Just kind of continue to go through the carrots. So we're going to take our almond and carrot mixture here and its spice ingredients. Mixed on a bed of mixed grains with a avo omega dressing. Topped with one of my favorite sprouts fresh from the market is a red rose radish sprout.
And since they were featuring flavors from Turkey that week, he also made a vegetarian stuffed eggplant.
You take this portion eggplant here, just chop this up into smaller pieces. Add this into the stuffing here. We're just going to let this kind of cook into it, let it cook down, add some nice olive oil to this. In this eggplant here, I've actually moistened it very nicely with olive oil, sprinkle it with some salt and pepper, place it on a sheet pan and roast it about 20 minutes so it gets nice and soft. Take our stuffing, cooked here. Just stuff into this eggplant like this. What we'll do is actually just pop this back into the oven another 10-15 minutes. Just going to let all the flavors mold together. Then we're serving for the week. It's a stuffed eggplant, Turkish style, with a heirloom tomato puree and roasted zucchini swirls.
Chef Joel also shares his skills at cooking classes, where you too can learn how to eat healthy all year long.
For the healthy recipes featured in our Cookin' with Christy segment, go to our website, citytv18.com. Well, that does it for this month's episode of Inside Santa Barbara and our preview of the film festival. Check out sbiff.org for the festival's latest schedule of events. If you have any questions or comments about our show, give us a call at City TV at 564-5311 or catch us on our website at citytv18.com. I'm your host, Rachel Senes, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.